Today, we are excited to introduce Pavin Chayavivatkul as the visionary behind the Aluminium Loop, Thailand's first closed-loop recycling system. He is leading the charge in sustainable business practices. His work is setting new standards for innovation and environmental responsibility, showing that businesses can thrive while making a positive impact on our planet. Alright then, my lovely audience, with no more further introductions, right here sitting next to me, the founder of Aluminium Loop, คุณแม็ก Pavin Chayavivatkul สวัสดีครับคุณแม็กครับ
สวัสดีครับคุณตาครับ
It's a pleasure to have you on our show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Could you please share us, okay, bring back to your journey for a little bit. So how did it happen?
Well, first of all, real pleasure to be able to talk to you about this and really to be able to share our story about aluminum beverage packaging and generally Aluminium Loop, where we're going, where we've been. I'm born and raised in Thailand, been here my whole life, and we've obviously seen the growth of our country throughout the last several decades. But more importantly, how beverages have evolved. I think generally from before it was sort of focus on plastic packaging, right? And eventually as people have gravitated to different soft drinks, different alcoholic beverages, and so on and so forth, people have shifted to be able to drink things from other beverage packaging as well. And that led us to aluminum cans, right? In 2019, I joined Thai Beverage Can, which is a leader in the aluminum beverage packaging space. They produce about 13 different can sizes and now produce bottles as well. I learned a lot during my time at Thai Beverage Can to really understand the intricacies of the infrastructure we have in Thailand, from the amount of recycling content we have to the suppliers we have to the infrastructure we have available in Thailand. You know, Thailand's very unique in that we have a lot of this infrastructure already available for aluminum cans. And so I saw that there was a general space that was emerging, which is sustainability, and how aluminum beverage packaging was already there, and how Thailand's infrastructure was completely primed to be able to take the space by storm. And so after I graduated from business school, I came back to Thailand and really focused on creating and scaling Aluminium Loop. I think sort of having background abroad, we see a lot more focus in sustainability. And sustainability isn't just environmentally friendly things. It's a combination of things. It's about being transparent. It's about making sure your business practices are ethical. It's also about making sure your products are socially responsible. And I realized that aluminum cans sort of check all of those boxes. And I thought that this was a unique position in Thailand for me to drive and scale this Aluminium Loop initiative.
So you think there's a big room to develop in the industry?
Yeah, for sure. I think obviously aluminum cans have already a great starting point, right? And just to share to your audience about what Aluminium Loop is actually, it's our mission to build, drive, and scale the world's most sustainable recycling loop in the world. You know, Thailand has this infrastructure already available, all within a radius of 400 kilometers. And so what we've done is we said, we're going to partner with all of these individuals and all of these stakeholders and make sure that all of the aluminum cans and aluminum bottles are collected, purchased responsibly, and then recycled in a truly closed loop manner all within our radius of 400 kilometers. To date, we've done over 900 million cans, and we're looking to hit that 1 billion can benchmark next month.
Okay, next month.
Next month.
So basically, this year is going to be more and more in the year 2025.
That's our hope. You know, in 2025, we hope to be able to do in 2025 alone about 800 million cans, and we're definitely not going to stop there.
Okay, that sounds interesting. I have heard the word closed loop.
Sure.
Okay, so this system, how is it different from the old system, the open loop? Could you please explain?
Yeah, for sure. You know, I think recycling, we've heard a lot about recycling content, recyclability. All that gets pretty confusing very quickly. But just to share one distinction between closed loop and open loop recycling is this. Well, closed loop basically means when you recycle something, it becomes exactly the same form as it was originally, which means that the properties are the same, the look is the same, the feel is the same, the chemical properties are the same.
And the quality of that is not going to drop.
The quality doesn't drop at all.
Wow.
That's sort of the definition of closed loop. That means that I can continue doing this over and over again, right? And so that means in the 900 million cans we've done with Aluminium Loop, we're sure that a lot of that cans are continued to be done and refreshed. And that's sort of the beauty of closed loop recycling, because it makes more sense to recycle an aluminum can than it is to go mine and get fresh new aluminum from the ground. You save about 95% of the energy. You're definitely able to do things without going through the hassles of long supply chains of going to different countries to mine things. You can all do it within a radius of 400 kilometers. That's sort of the closed loop component.
Could you please bring us to your closed loop process?
Yeah.
Step by step.
Yeah, definitely. More than
Since
happy
the
to.
start, the beginning.
Yeah, let's consider a consumer. Let's say you drink a can of soda and you throw it away, right? The majority of people throw away their cans in a general waste. They don't actually sort their waste. That's okay.
I do.
A lot of people do, and most of us do.
Okay.
The beauty of it is Thailand is one of those countries that even though you throw your cans away with other things as well, it gets sorted properly, right? So you might have people who come collect trash from your house or your office, and they'll pick out the cans, right? These people might sell it to some form of saling or trash sorter, right? They'll get a little bit of money, and then these trash sorters or trash collectors go towards what we call an amalgamator, someone who buys up all of these cans, right? Or so you have in the Aluminium Loop, Thai Beverage Recycling, that will buy all these cans from all these trash sorters around the country.
Okay. Do they have to be your people, or they can be anyone?
They can be anyone. They can be anyone. You could roll up to a Thai Beverage Recycling and sell your cans directly to them.
And they don't need to register or sign up.
They don't need to register at all.
Okay, wow.
Right? And that's sort of how frictionless the system is in Thailand, what I mean by infrastructure that's already available. So once Thai Beverage Recycle gets all of these cans, they get other stuff too, like plastic bottles or what have you, but cans are sort of the most valuable, most expensive. So then they'll have a team that will sort all of these cans further. You'll have, sometimes people will have some steel cans in there, think condensed milk or canned tuna. These are not aluminum. It's typically steel. Steel, yeah. And so these companies like Thai Beverage Recycling will look through all of the trash they've purchased or cans they've purchased, and then they'll separate aluminum.
Okay.
Once they separate aluminum, they will send it to what we call a recycler, right? Our partner in Aluminium Loop is called Anglo-Asia. They have a presence in Chonburi. And in this production facility of theirs, they'll take a can, they'll chop it up into many small, fine pieces, and then they will burn it. The reason they burn it is they can take all of the ink off of the can, right? And that will sort of make the can ready to be processed in the next stage.
Okay.
So once it's sort of all chopped up and into fine little metal aluminum pieces, they'll send it to the coil producer. The coil producer in Thailand, we have one facility in Thailand, which is UACJ, which is our partner from Japan. In this facility, they'll basically put all of the aluminum and boil it, make it become liquid.
Okay.
Right? They'll make it basically a soup out of it.
Okay.
An aluminum soup. And they'll basically check whether or not the composition is perfect. Okay. If it's not perfect, they might sprinkle in a little bit more aluminum here and there just to make sure the composition is exactly what we need to be. Now, because aluminum cans are one single material, and it's in exactly the same proportions that we need to make new cans, you typically don't have to change so much if you're using just used beverage cans. Okay. And so that's sort of the beauty of it. It reduces the amount of energy you need to keep it liquid. You don't need to make sure you have to add too many things to the aluminum soup, if you will. And then aluminum will be processed in UACJ to be rolled into a very thin layer of metal, right? This takes a process of compressing it over and over again to make it thin as the sides of the aluminum can, right? And this basically comes as like a roll or a coil, similar to what you'd expect your tissue paper to come in. And then from there, UACJ will send it to Thai Beverage Can, where they will create the next batch of cans.
So it's more efficient in terms of recycling.
Yeah, it's more efficient. You're able to continue doing it endlessly. Open loop basically means you're going to recycle something, let's say a plastic bottle, and you see this happen all the time. You recycle it and then you do what we call upcycle or downcycling, where you're changing the purpose of the product. Okay. It goes from a plastic bottle to a shoelace.
Okay.
And then after each iteration or each time you're recycling it, the properties change, the chemical composition changes, the strength changes. You might have issues with some microplastics in some cases. Okay. And so that means you're not able to continue doing it forever. It means you have, maybe you can recycle it twice before it has to be discarded into landfills. But generally, if you do it closed, it means you can just keep going and going and going.
Okay, so you basically are saying that the aluminum is like better packaging compared to the others, even though, as I recall, if I'm wrong, please correct me.
Yeah.
Aluminum is a basic metallic element.
Yeah,
right?
That's right.
Okay.
You're completely right. I think from a what is good standpoint, aluminum has a lot of its benefits, right? From its sustainable practices. Every time you discard or throw away a can, trash sorters are able to make money and living off of these things. And you're supporting this closed loop cycle, which means we don't really have to get new resources from the ground. Now, obviously, aluminum has some drawbacks, right? The first thing and most important thing is it's expensive. An aluminum can costs about 3 times a plastic bottle. Okay. But I urge consumers to think about, where is that additional money going? It's going to the environment. It's going to the society. It's going to make the world a less polluted place, right? And so with our Aluminium Loop, we've pushed our partners to make sure that aluminum packaging is more complete, right? Cans have that big drawback of you open it and you can't close it. And so that's why Thai Beverage Can this year launched aluminum bottles. And that's really helped us a lot, because now you can reseal it.
You must have like lots of partners, lots of customers these days. So far, how many?
Yeah, so we have, I want to separate this into 2 parts. We have the partners that allow Aluminium Loop to exist, grow, and to build the world's most sustainable recycling loop, right? These partners include, we have Thai Beverage Can, as I mentioned earlier. We have UACJ Thailand, which is a aluminum coil manufacturer. So they take blocks of aluminum and create sort of a roll that they then send to Thai Beverage Can to create the can. We have recycling partners, right? These are the people that take the old beverage cans that you throw away, chop them up, clean them, melt them back into the original form, and send those to UACJ. And then we have the people who are working with the trash sorters that are basically getting all of this used beverage cans into the loop, right? We've worked a lot with Thai Beverage Recycle that has a network all around the country, and Big C. You can drop off your used beverage cans at Big C all around the country that will come into our aluminum.
Okay, you can become sort of a partner to Aluminium Loop by being a collector.
Definitely.
So you go collect all the aluminum can and then drop off as places.
Yeah.
And then you become one of the circle.
You definitely become part of the ecosystem. And we continue to grow, so that means we need to make sure our partners are stronger, and we're always open to new partnerships.
How did it go? I mean, since you have been playing a vital role in such a big supply chain in Thailand, and hopefully one day they will all change into using the aluminum.
We still have a long way to go. Okay. You know, next year, as I mentioned, we're hoping to get closer to that 1 billion can a year benchmark that we set ourselves when we were founded. But Thailand as a market uses about 5 billion aluminum cans. Okay. We want to make sure Aluminium Loop has all of those cans coming into our cycle, right? And we think we can get there. Okay. I think moving forward beyond that, though, we want people to adopt this form of packaging, right? Because we're confident in the ability for it to serve all of your end consumer needs. People want small can, big cans, bottles. They all exist for us now. The only barrier is for us to get to that moment where we say we're willing to pay that little bit extra because it's worth it for our society and our environment.
Yeah, I'm getting to that point just right now because it's going to cost more. So aluminum's products is going to be more expensive than using plastic for real.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting point you bring up. I think the expensive component in terms of the monies a brand might pay for a plastic bottle versus a aluminum can, there's going to be some difference. Now, I urge all of the brands that work with Aluminium Loop to say that they should absorb all of this costs. And so it wouldn't be passed through to the end consumer. And I feel like it is the responsibility of corporations. These are products that have really focused in on, well, we're going to embrace Aluminium Loop, and we're going to bear those costs. We're going to work towards building a sustainable future and not necessarily pass those to the end consumer.
Okay. To be honest, do you have like a rival or competitors in this recycling business?
Yeah, to be honest, I don't think anyone is doing what we're doing, especially in the aluminum space. We haven't seen it in the beverage packaging space. I think by and large, a lot of brands have focuses on becoming net zero in 2050 or 2030 or using more recycled products. But generally, these are initiatives of brands. What we're focused on is building the infrastructure to be stronger. And I don't really think there's a rival to us at the moment.
Okay, and since you are at the upstream
Yeah.
area of the supply chains, so what's your plan next?
For Aluminium Loop, what we're going to be launching in Q1 of 2025 is our sub-product called Aluminum Solar. Now, solar. So Aluminum Solar will be a product that guarantees that each aluminum can or aluminum bottle that has our aluminum solar logo on it, it will mean that we've used solar energy to produce these products. For the production, right? And so this is to encourage our infrastructure to adopt more renewable energy, right? Use more solar energy. Right now, obviously, Thai Beverage Can, UACJ, all of these partners have used solar energy, but this gives them an additional incentive to really move towards more renewable energy. Okay. And that's our role as Aluminium Loop, which is to push our infrastructure forward.
And is it going to be like more expensive than usual?
Actually, aluminum solar will be a no-cost option to our partners, which means sort of the brands that we've been working with. This is more so to raise awareness and to promote the idea that there are moments in business or moments in creating infrastructure where there are truly win-win opportunities. Okay. We believe that with the financial strength of our partners and the long-term mindset, investing in solar energy is a great way to move forward. It means that they're able to create their products for essentially the same cost, but use renewable energy, and that's what we want to support.
Okay, could I be a bit like more impolite to ask?
Sure, please.
How old are you?
What's your generation? I'm 28. I'm sort of the tail end of millennials, but you know.
Okay, so at the end of millennials, and then transform to Gen Z, maybe. That's why you are so into, environmental issue.
Yeah, I think for me, sort of growing up, you see a lot of things change, right? Whether that's weather, whether that's sort of the imminent flooding or earthquakes and what have you, or the PM 2.5 we all experience every now and then. It makes us look inward to say, isn't there a better way to do things? And obviously, there are an infinite number of ways to do things better. Okay. But this is sort of where I'm focused on. This is the sort of small mark that I want to be able to make to say, this is truly a better way to move forward for our society.
So what are you going to do to make the people realize that they need to change into this recyclable aluminum?
Yeah. Communication has been arguably the biggest challenge for Aluminium Loop. There's so many details in recycling, right? In Thailand, what works here might not necessarily work in other countries. but we're confident that the aluminum loop product we have here is the most sustainable. Now, in terms of getting the message out, I think it's two stages. The first is we need to make sure that our product is out there, which means working with the right brands and organizations and companies that really believe in our product. Right, so we've worked with brands such as Calpis M150. They use our aluminum loop product. As I mentioned, Shakusa, the Thai beverage group, is one of our early adopters, and also TCP, or the Red Bull group, has been early adopters for us as well. And so these are the brands that allow aluminum loop to have the presence in products that you can actually buy. Now the next stage is communication. It's very difficult for us to communicate this very long chain of, you do this, that, and the other to get a loop that works infinitely. And so I have to do a lot of explaining to people, but at the same time, we're looking towards being able to engage with younger generations, engaging in different events. Just a few weeks ago, we worked with Wonderfruit, where all of the cans at the Wonderfruit event were aluminum loop cans.
Okay. How about the governments or the public sector?
Yeah, I think the public sector has really doubled down and said that they wanted to focus on more sustainable products and making sure that or end consumers are purchasing things that are sustainable, ethical, and sustainable, right? For us, we think that as aluminum loop, the public sector has a very key role in being able to make sure that the right information is available. Right? Making sure that all organizations are moving towards more sustainable practices. Not only aluminum loop that does it voluntarily. I think if we have that public sector push, there'll be more people focused on initiative like ours. At the end of the day, what we're trying to do is make sure that our ecosystem, our community, is more sustainable. It doesn't necessarily have to limit itself at aluminum. We just see that this is already available, right? And so hopefully we see more policies, more research, more funding into spaces that really allow people to understand how sustainable their products are. Just that lack of data right now makes it difficult for us to move towards our goal of being net zero or responsible. And we've heard a lot about whether or not the government will move towards that. And governments in Europe have been imposing different carbon taxes, right? With CBAM coming up in the near future, we think that there's going to be a space for the government to really push the private sector to make sure their products are responsible.
Okay, so could we say that Aluminium Loop is right now sort of like initiator in this redefining the industry?
We hope so. We think we can set a benchmark not only for Thailand, for the world, right? Our mission is to build, drive, and scale the world's most sustainable recycling loop. That doesn't mean that we just have to be an initiative taker in Thailand. And hopefully we serve as a model for other different countries and other different industries to follow suit.
Why you're so into this sustainability things?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I just want to make sure that the right messages come across. And I think this is one of those moments where there's a win for society, there's a win for the environment, there's a win for the private sector. And as a person who's deeply invested and connected to our community, I want to make sure that I'm not only doing interesting things, but I want to make sure that I'm doing good. And that's sort of the inspiration for Aluminum.
You're doing great.
I hope so. I know we're just getting started.
You're such a good leader and initiator, but could you please communicate more to the audience? Particularly the young generations. They might see you as a role model from now on.
What I want to say to individuals that are watching this or people who want to create their own thing, the best thing you can do is to start, right? We don't necessarily know where we're going, but I promise you, if you have the right mindset, the right work ethic, there's going to be something good that comes out of it. I started Aluminum Loop with the idea of, let's do something good, let's do something in this space because all of this is prime for something great. That didn't mean that I knew that we would reach 900 million cans in a closed loop manner. That didn't mean that I'd be able to form a team and be able to scale this to over 1 billion cans over such a short period of time. What I hope this shows you is that you can do well by doing good, and you can definitely dream big as long as you have the right mindset and work ethic.
So I have come to the last question of the show. Do you have any biggest issue that you think is about time to talk? It's about time to discuss about it.
Yeah, I think generally, and this doesn't include just in sustainability, I think it's time to talk facts. It's time to talk about data, and it's time to talk about progress. I think there's a lot of us and a lot of media out there that we're talking about, oh, things we're going to do in the future, things that are not really tangible. I think it's time to talk about action, and I think it's time to talk about the facts.
Wow, that's a cool answer. It's time to talk about actions. Do something other than just saying.
Yeah,
Okay.
100%.
Thank you so much for joining our show today, คุณแม็กขอบคุณครับ
ขอบคุณมากครับ. Thank you for having me.
Okay, you're so great.
Thank you so much.
Hopefully, there will be more people who decided to pay a little bit more money to use your products.
I hope so. I hope so.
For you, my beloved audience, I hope you learn a lot more about the aluminum recycling industry and learn more about sustainability from the young man, Matt Pavin. Until next time, we hope that we might have the next guest as good as him. So keep in touch until next time with a time to talk and make that people.